Hey, David, I see you. Rick is here and having breakfast.
Awesome. Yeah.
He's ready to go. Let's see. So we'll be good to go.
Okay.
That's good.
I did. I just watched it go to. I know it takes a village.
Yeah, Marion and Woods, David Williams.
All right.
and
Here,
Bill Proctor and all that.
good morning. It says, and I think Tracy's going to lead us in the prayer this morning.
Yes, that's great. Father, we thank you for this day, for the opportunity to gather here, a group of us to care about the community, stay in this time in this place, every family, person, business representative. Help us to be mindful of what we do, to gather, right, to further this business and glorify your name.
Thank you.
Praise
And-
you.
And Brandon, you're going to lead us in the pledge.
Yes, the flag is over there at City Hall and at Barricade. The real one, that's what it is, yes. All right. And over heart.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Tracy, I'm so sorry. That music is right in my ears up here, and I'm a little bit hard of hearing, so I apologize. All right. So Andy just sent a text. He's not feeling well today, and he's going to stay away. That's a really good idea. Good morning, everyone out in Zoom land. Nice to see you, everyone. And Jim, looking good there, buddy. David, nice to see you again. And we're really enjoying your guest today. He's a delight.
Thank you. Yes, he is a delight. He's got lots of stories. It's awesome.
We can't wait. We've already kind of sucked a lot of them out of him. So just a couple of things before we have Mr. Rick Hoover from the Marble Falls, the head of security at Marble Falls Independent School District. Anybody make it to the grant seminar on the 15th? Yeah, Deb did. And I think Marion and Jim had mentioned they were aware of it. Okay, so we have some more coming up. So we will. All right, Jim, you going to talk to us?
No, it's just telling you the importance.
Okay, do I need to put got it? There we go. Okay. We have the bed build coming up. Has everyone been getting the emails? I'm trying to, some of it's preliminary information, just the rough drafts, but I'm just keeping everybody moving so we can get more folks involved. And we definitely need to have money being donated to offset the cost of materials. And so don't forget to remind, as we're looking for volunteers, we also need to have donations into Sleep in Heavenly Peace to offset the cost of materials, or if anybody wants to donate some. I talked to Mike yesterday, and we're going to have another planning meeting between now and the 26th. And he says have the volunteers show up around 8. Some can come at 7:30 and go ahead and get started on sanding. He said some could come at 8:30. He said, well, we just split it in the middle and say 8 o'clock. So if people are asking, 7:30 to 8 is a good time. So that'll be good. I'm hoping, I haven't checked the website to see who all is signing up, but we'll get an update for everybody on that.
What day is this?
February the 26th, it's a Saturday. I think we have V as a guest again today. Nice to have you back, V. And anything else? I know Ryla has a deadline coming up for the 15th, but I'm sure Andy's on top of that. Gil, do you have anything in your lane?
No, sir.
Brandon?
I'm gonna start the ski shoot planning committee up again. So anybody that wants to be part of that, if you mind mentioning that to folks on Zoom.
I sure will. So Brandon is about to re-engage the skeet shoot planning committee. So if you're interested in helping him with that, let him know, and then he'll let us know kind of the schedule.
Yes.
I still have the notices on my phone, so
I didn't ever kill the notices because I figured it'd be keep it in everybody's mind too, to be watching for them.
okay. Very good.
Thank you.
So we do have a board meeting coming up this week. I'll get with Andy and make sure that we're still doing it over at Foxworth Galbraith on the 20th. That's the hardest thing to say and spell. And we'll double check and let everybody know about that. And upcoming speakers, Terry Wilson is set for the 25th. I saw Eddie's, he's going to bring in Herb Darling, but have you heard from Terry Wilson for the 25th, Leo? I'm sorry, I must have missed the email.
Yeah,
It's on the calendar. Okay, so that one's covered. Oh, that's right. Okay. And then after that, so the first would be Eddie. The 8th of February is another assembly. The 15th of February is Brooks Blake. And then the 22nd is Marion. And I think that gets us started for what we need to be covering. Anybody else have anything to cover before we, David, would you like to be able to introduce your guest today?
Yes, exactly. I would love to.
I don't know if we can hear you, but we'll try hard to. Just a second.
Sure
Just a second. Gil's coming up to.
let me make sure that volume's up. How's it go? We ought to be able to hear you now.
All right. Well, good morning, everybody. I've had the pleasure of knowing Rick for good 6 to 7 years since I moved to Marble Falls. And, Allie and Rick worked together at the high school really closely and got to know him through that. But then I found out that Rick and I have a illustrious past of Rick was once a Division I football official, and he got to officiate with a lot of my current crewmates and officials. So we continue to reconnect with that. And but Rick has had quite a few opportunities at the Marble Falls Independent School District. And, I thought of Rick to come in and he has a new position. And I think it's something that, a lot of people really don't talk about until there's a emergency or a situation. But it takes a lot to, keep our children safe. And my two children, one in middle school, one in high school that go there. And then, of course, my wife that, leads the principal of the careers and the alternative high school. So, I want to introduce Rick Hoover, and I really appreciate, Rick, you coming out this morning and speaking to our Rotary group. Thanks, Rick. I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, David. Thank you. I wasn't sure David was going to bring up the connection he and I had. That's something that I haven't done it in a long time, but for about 20 years, I was a Division I football referee like David is. David's at a much higher level than I am. I was never good enough to make it quite to the big time and to do bowl games like he's doing, but I did do quite a bit. I was on TV quite a bit, usually cussed at, not very popular. So thanks for having me. This is actually the first time in my new capacity as Director of Special Programs that I've had opportunity to come and address people. It's not the most interesting topic for most people on the surface. Having been the athletic director for the past 4 years, I did this quite frequently. It was very often I'd be asked to speak to groups because everybody's interested in sports and what's going on. But as David said, kind of behind the scenes, what's really important is keeping our kids safe and keeping our staff safe. It's not just our kids, it's our kids and our staff, which is what a huge part of my job. As this Director of Special Programs, I have basically three umbrellas that I deal with: safety and security, truancy. I heard you guys talking about court and families and CPS. I'm smack dab in the middle of that. I've spent a lot of time with truancy issues. And then I'm also the emergency management coordinator for the school district, which the EMC for the school district, that comes into play recently. The freeze we have to coordinate and use our facilities as shelters and different things. The floods we had a couple of years ago, that comes into play. Anytime the community that we have the opportunity to use our district assets, which is also community assets. They're not district assets, they belong to the community. So somebody has to kind of spearhead those processes and make sure we have buildings open, make sure we have heat when we need it. And because those things happen, and they don't always happen at the most convenient time. Sometimes they happen at 2 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday, and somebody has to facilitate what needs to happen. So all of those three things are under my umbrella. But today we're going to talk about safety and security for the district, for the kids, and for the staff. Typically, when I do have conversations about this, the topic everybody, it tends to want to talk about is active shooters, because that's what gets the media attention, and it's horrifying for everybody, and it's very real. So just to kind of touch on that for a second, we drill our staff and our students regularly. We work on worst case scenarios. We practice. We prepare for the worst, pray for the best. Okay, that's just how it is. So we do have drills. We do active shooter drills. We do fire drills. We do tornado, bad weather drills. We do perimeter drills, things people don't think about. If there could be a chemical spill in the community, real near a school, and we may have to put the school on perimeter lockdown. We may have to hold everybody in the building because it's not safe to be outside the building. There's just a number of different things that can come into play that deal with keeping our kids safe and secure, and our staff safe and secure. So these are the things that we deal with on a daily basis. But believe it or not, that's the ongoing mission. What happens is there's so much that happens daily, as far as daily and weekly, as far as everything we do. So to accomplish that, it's a big task. So to accomplish that, some of the things we do, every staff member, everybody, doesn't matter if it's the superintendent, teachers, the lunch workers, bus drivers, maintenance guys, everybody that's employed with the school district, they have to go through a training with myself. And if you were to ask them, it's probably not the most exciting hour of their life, but they have to go through it every year. Everybody has to do it. And in that training, I go into way more details than what I could talk about today. Okay, as far as those drills are concerned and the processes. But we dedicate an hour, and I have to do it multiple times throughout the year, because we're constantly hiring new people, subs. If you want to sub at our school, you have to go through the training, because bad things don't happen when it's convenient. They happen when they happen, and we have to have everybody prepared for when these things happen. So one of the things that the training does is everybody. I was listening to some conversations. We all are in different capacities, and we all go through training. We all have whatever our businesses are. You have professional development of some sort, continuing education. It's the same thing. And we know that only a percentage of what we teach is actually going to be retained, because after about 10 minutes, people start checking out. So that's why we do it every year. Just because you've done it once, you got to do it again. And we hope that, when the emergencies do take place, that we're able to rely on some of that past knowledge that we've pumped into people. But one of the best things, besides the training we do, one of the things that's happened recently that I want to talk about real quick, that all of our taxpayers has contributed to, is our recent bond election that we had. We passed a bond a few years ago with lots of changes and lots of updates that we use that money for. So when it comes to safety and security, one of the things that we did was some of the architectural changes at our campuses, at several of our campuses. At the high school in particular, if you've ever been to the high school, if you haven't been there since the updates have happened, you need to try to get up there and look at the high school. It's a completely different campus. So the redesign of the high school, what we did was we removed the multiple entry points at the high school. Okay, not all of them, but that high school was originally built, I believe, in '87, and the designs in '87 compared to the designs in '22 are a lot different. Okay, the world's a lot different, and so we've removed most of the entry points and made it a much safer campus. We've added keyless entry, which doesn't sound like a big deal in today's world, but the fobs, boom, get in. That's a big deal. But guess what? Every door, if anybody's ever done this, to install a keyless entry on a door, it's not cheap. It's not cheap. And then when you start looking at all the different doors just at one campus, much less 7 campuses, it requires bond money. Because it's a lot, it's expensive. So, but they're necessary. To think that we didn't have keyless entry is really hard in today's world. So that's a huge thing. The other thing that was really significant that we changed, besides the high school and the flow of the high school, was the bus loops. If you've ever been to the middle school or the high school, and then Highland Lakes as well, all 3 of them were really outdated as far as traffic flow, trying to get in. If you try to go to the high school prior to the updates, if you try to go at 4 o'clock, oh my goodness, it was just, it was frustrating to say the least. So we've restructured, rebuilt our bus loops, took them through a different route. And so that accomplished several things. Not only are our parents in a much better mood after they pick their kids up and we're able to get out of there, it's so much safer. We used to have all the buses coming in one spot, but all the kids were released from school at the same spot. And those of you that, all of us, I know this is hard to believe, I was a 16-year-old driver at one time, okay? You don't make good choices when you're a 16-year-old driver, okay? You think you are, but you don't. Well, imagine hundreds of 16-year-old drivers being released at one time, and then you also have 15 buses and 1,200 other kids walking out into, that was a recipe for disaster. And so we had to get that fixed. Again, safety. This is not necessarily bad guy security stuff, but it's safety. It's critical to our safety of our kids. So the redesign of our bus loops were very instrumental in trying to keep our kids safe. And we were able to do that at the high school, at the middle school, and at Highland Lakes. The traffic flow is just very, very significant. Prop doors, okay? Doors. Kids love to prop open doors. So if we prop open a door, what have we done? We've just now we've given an access point to a bad guy if they wanted to get in. So what we did, we've installed prop door alarms. Okay, they're not alarms that go off. They're just quick notes that set to a few key people that, hey, this door's been propped open. We know to go unprop it. We've been fighting that battle since we were all kids. Okay, we did it when we were kids, and guess what? They're going to continue to do it. We preach and we yell at them and we threaten them. We scald them. Don't do this. Don't do this. They're going to prop open doors. Okay, because they're running out to grab something, or they're waiting on their friend, or their mom's dropping off breakfast. There's a number of reasons. Okay, it's not right. We want to change it, but it is what it is. So. That allows us to help manage that process. Another thing that's part of the stuff I'm talking about was really more all in the bond that all of us help contribute to. Panic buttons. You would think in today's world we had those. Well, we do now. Okay. Front desk, something bad's happening, they can activate. Okay. Buzz to allow entrance. For example, in the front office, again, you would think that, if we have keyless entry, one of the issues is if a visitor's coming in and they pass all the tests and they're good to come in, well, how are we going to let them in? We've got to be able to buzz them in. Okay, all of those things are expensive and bring us up to somewhat of modern times. And again, so the biggest wave of change that we've had has been a huge hats off to the bond that helped us get to that. So as far as shifting gears to some of the other stuff that we do to try to keep our kids safe. Have you ever heard of Stop the Bleed? Stop the Bleed training? We train every employee. It's a program we started, or we adapted. We didn't start the program. We bring in EMS, and EMS, we have training for every employee. So not only do every employee go through the safety training that I mentioned earlier, they also go through Stop the Bleed. And what that is it's a small course, hands-on course of trauma control with a bleeding situation. It could be from a knife, it could be from somebody falling and hurting themselves, it could be in metal shop, in welding, number of things. It's not just a bad guy that can create a bleeding situation. So we've trained everybody on how to do this. We have Stop the Bleed kits strategically placed throughout all of our campuses. We have Stop the Bleed kits on all of our buses if something were to happen on a bus. So again, steps to try to keep our kids and our staff safe. AEDs, okay? You know, to help the heart. We have AEDs at every campus, multiple AEDs. They're strategically placed, and are not everybody's trained on AEDs, but key people are trained on AEDs. CPR, we train, again, not everybody, but all of our coaches and all of our directors and all of our extracurricular folks that might potentially be out with kids, they're trained in CPR. So these are all things that come into play with keeping, 4,000 kids plus safe. If any of you have had kids or known kids that are in high school or middle school recently in the last 4, 5, 6 years, one of the things that you've probably heard them complain about are badges. Okay. So we started this a few years back where we require everybody from middle school up to have a badge. As simple as that sounds, we never did that. Well, you may not realize this, but a 25-year-old man or woman can really, really look like a 16 or 17-year-old. Okay. Maybe that's just me getting old and they all are starting to look alike. But I tell you, you can take a 25. I have a 30-year-old daughter that I promise you, I could throw her in a hoodie and put her hair in a ponytail and she could walk right through that high school and nobody would ever question that she didn't belong. Okay. So we require badges. Part of our training is every teacher, everybody who works for the district. If you walk through our school, man, woman, or child, and you don't have a badge on of some sort, you are to be stopped. Even if we know it, okay? Even if it's, Kyle Futrell. Okay, you guys all know Kyle Futrell probably, been around forever. Everybody knows him. It doesn't matter. If he's walking through our hallways, he should either have a badge on, that's a visitor badge, or an employee badge of some sort. That's just, now I'm not going to tell you that it's 100%. People make mistakes, but that's what we're working towards. We want everybody to feel empowered. And I will sometimes, not have my badge on purpose and see if somebody asks me. Now it's a little bit cheating because some of them, they feel a little intimidated to stop me, to ask me, but I want them to, and they usually will. They'll usually do it with a smile. They'll say, "Hey, Coach Uber, where's your badge?" I'm like, "Good job." And that's what we want. We want them to do that. Some of the couple of the other things we have a system at the front desk. If Brandon wants to come up and check his kid out, well, we know Brandon, but we don't just say, "Yeah, get him." Okay, we enter him into the system. We run his ID, and we have a background check, a Raptor system that will flag it if there's a problem. Okay, and problems come up quite frequently, and we have to deal with them. And our guys are trained and know what to say and know how to handle it at that point. So there's no foolproof system of keeping our kids, completely safe. The bad guys in the world are pretty dang smart. Okay. The people that write computer software, computer viruses, imagine how smart they are to write that stuff, to be able to penetrate the government, securities. They're pretty dang smart and they're always working against us. So we have to continue to always be moving forward as well. Again, this job is not ever there. We're never there. For those of you that, again, most of you guys are here because, you believe in the 4-way test, you believe in the things that we do to provide for the community. We serve others. Okay. And to serve others, you're never done. You're never, ever done. And sometimes we feel like we're done, but that job is never ends. To kind of wrap up a couple of things that we also have, we have anonymous tips that people can, we have a way for parents, kids, people to send us tips. if they want to, if they can remain anonymously. We have social media monitoring where we keep an eye on, and we have found threats. People, kids are, kids sometimes aren't the smartest. Okay. Sometimes they will brag about what they did or brag about what they're planning on doing. So we keep an eye. We scan those, the medias, and we have a way to do that. So we look at that stuff. One of the other things that we do that you guys probably know about, that we try to help keep our kids safe. We do drug testing for our kids, but not all of our kids, for kids that participate in extracurricular activities, or if they drive. If you're going to drive on my campus, I need to know that you're not high. Okay. So most of the kids do one or the other. They either participate in extracurricular activities or they drive. So in order to do so, we have a policy there. We have, we've been known to show up with canines and check, make, random checks every once in a while. Because we want to keep, it's the thing that we're trusted with are the kids. Okay. Before anything else, before the quality of their education, before the quality of their football experience, or their band experience, or their theater experience, or whatever you want to insert there, before any of that, what we're trusted with is that they get home safe. And so that's our number one priority. And that's what the job that I have been in charge of and am in charge of. And it's a ever changing process. So I'm going to wrap up with that. And if anybody has any questions, I don't know if I went too long, but yes, sir.
If you were to repeat the question for those.
Yes, sir.
What do you do about security on buses?
Okay.
On the bus?
The question is, what do we do about security on buses? Well, that's an ongoing issue, problem for everybody. We have cameras on every bus, multiple cameras. There's not a place on the bus that's not on film. And that's our bus drivers are trained on how to deal with bad situations or hostile situations with kids or somebody else. And again, it's a challenge, because when you have a bus full of kids and you have one adult, that can be challenging.
You have two-way communication.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. We have all our drivers have two-way radios, and they have their cell phones. We have a system. We have a monitoring system. I can tell you within 5 feet of where every bus is at any moment, at any time. I actually have the two-way. Several of us, not just me, but the two-way radio I keep in my office. I do not participate in the communication with the bus drivers, but I monitor. I have that information at my access. So we're watching. There's no way to completely, the resources aren't there to do other things, but technology is there. And if something happens, we could be there quickly. Yes, sir. That's a good question. Yes, ma'am.
What is the relationship with the SRO? Are they under you or they?
Okay. The question is, what is the relationship with our SROs, our school resource officers? No, they're not under me. We have two SROs. We have one that works at the high school, one that works, or shouldn't say works. We have one that's stationed at the high school and one that's stationed at the middle school. And then they each have, they're responsible for that school as well as a couple of the other middle schools. No, they are Marble Falls police employees. They are not employees of the district. They're housed on our campus. And our relationship is such that you wouldn't necessarily know they weren't employees. I work together with them daily. Also work with the Vernon County Sheriff's Office daily. I work with the Granite Shoals Police Department daily. I work with EMS, the fire department, everything that we have available to us. Because of the emergency management coordinator side of my position, the relationship is continuous. And we will have, we talk about all types of things that need to be discussed. Okay, I don't know if I answered that question. Okay. Any other questions?
Rick, thank you so much for
Thank
coming out. We appreciate it. We have a party gift for you.
Oh.
So thank you so much. It was a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you so
And my
much.
God, your job is very diverse.
It is diverse.
Truancy in the middle of all that.
Yeah, we didn't even touch on truancy. That
Wow.
for most districts, for a bigger district, this is 3 different jobs or 3 different departments. But we're a one high school town, so
Yeah, unbelievable. So thank you for all you do for the kids. Awesome.
thank you.
Is there anything else for the good of Rotary today, ladies and gentlemen? If you will, then anybody out in Zoom land, everybody good? All right, if you'll stand and join me in the 4-way test. Of the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to all concerned? Y'all have a great day.